there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. So I just got back from the DJI launch event, and it's been a long day. They covered a lot of material in that session, and I thought they did an exceptionally good job of both presenting the material and giving us plenty of time to play with the gear and sort of get a lot of photos. So I'm going to give you a brief overview today of what I saw at the show with just some basic specs of the material I covered, and then next week I'll go into much more depth on overview clips of the different products that were out there. So I wanted to talk about the event first because I've been to a couple of launch events before. I've never gone to a DJI event, but I thought they did an exceptionally good job of organizing the event, getting 200 to 300 people in a room, sitting down, all checked in. They walked around and passed out hors d'oeuvres and they had drinks. It was just a really well attended event and really well handled. I'm always starstruck, so I'm looking down the line to see if there's anybody famous, somebody that I recognize from YouTube. There were a couple of celebrities there. We had the guy from iPhone Do, his YouTube channel, who I like an awful lot. He's an incredibly funny guy, and in person he's probably even more charming. So I liked him an awful lot. I also met the guy from Photoshop Cafe, another big YouTuber out there. Both of those guys are giants. I'm like a little guy compared to them, but meeting them and talking to them and seeing the enthusiasm they have for the hobby and how much they enjoy it, there's a commonality of spirit there. So if you're watching the clip and you're a fan of the channel, just know that you're among friends. I mean, this is a really tight-knit community of people that enjoy flying, really respect the technology, and are big fans of DJI. So enough of that. The event itself was interesting because all of us were kind of hoping for a drone, or at the very least we were hoping for the goggles, neither of which we got at the event. Now we did get a bunch of new technology, some of it brand new technology, that is going to help us in the long run. So even if it's not stuff that you're going to use today, I think the core technology that's inside of some of these things they announced will definitely trickle down to the Mavic, the Phantom, other technologies they're going to release down the road and things that fly. So for me, as much as I wanted to see stuff that I could get today and use today, these products I think are going to lay the groundwork for a lot of the cool technology that's coming in the consumer space or the prosumer space as far as quads and displays and controllers go. So I want to run through these. The big star of the show was the Ronin. They came out with a brand new Ronin 2, and this new Ronin 2 to me looks like it was redesigned from the ground up. They've done a bunch of different things to make it a little more user-friendly. They obviously listened to a lot of people that use those stabilized platforms and built in a lot of the feature sets that those people were asking for. And I think, from my perspective, I use the Ronin 1 a lot. The Ronin 2, just a fantastic update, I think, to the original product. So let me give you a couple of specs on the Ronin 2. So out of the gate, it's got a carbon fiber frame, which makes it lighter, but it's deceiving because the gimbal motors are larger and heavy duty, and that's because they need it to be able to support heavier cameras and also cameras with larger lenses or longer lenses, and they need stronger gimbal motors to do that. So even though the frame is lighter because it's carbon fiber, the fact that the motors are heavy, it weighs about the same, or it's a little bit heavier actually than the original product. They did build in a stand, so this Ronin will actually sit now on a flat surface for you. You can shoot from the flat surface with the remote control, or you can pick it up and walk around. You've got a stabilized platform. They thought long and hard about this and actually built in multiple power outlets. So the batteries that are in the Ronin can be used to power other devices, whether that be an external monitor like a field monitor or some other technology with these universal connections, which I thought was really nice of them to do. They totally redesigned the remote control. It's a brand new remote control, and again, I'll have some pictures of that up when I do the review next week. They kind of incorporated some of the features that the Inspire 2 has. So if you look at the battery setup in there, they actually have two batteries now that are both hot swappable, and that way you've got dual power. If one of them fails, obviously the other will take over, but you've also got the ability to pull one out that's draining and you can pop another one in and not have to shut down the unit and reboot. So it's really nice. They've also internally heated those batteries because if you're using the Ronin in environments that are really cold, you could have problems with the batteries not performing correctly. So they've got internal heating in those batteries to keep them warm. Then the last thing they did, which I thought was really cool, is in the handle, they built in an integrated LCD screen, which provides a lot of critical information of how the Ronin works and sort of what you're going through with the Ronin. So all the technology that they've got to handle the gimbals, handle the stabilization, do the twisting and panning that they're going to do inside of there is all written out, or should say printed out on that LCD screen. So it is, to me, a much more mature package than the original Ronin product was, and it seems like they really took a lot of the suggestions that people wanted built into the product and incorporated them in there. All right, so the next product they talked about, and they've kind of teased about this a couple of times already, are the Crystal Sky monitors. Now, all of us have been curious about what do these things look like. To me, they look like field monitors, but they're really much more than a field monitor because inside those Crystal Sky monitors, in addition to them being the brightest monitors on the planet, they've got dual SIM cards in the side, they've got swappable batteries on the back. So they've kind of been leaning towards using these things on the higher end drones, but I think the price has come down quite enough that you could use them on a standard drone. So some of the features, and these are announced specifications right now for the Crystal Sky monitors, are, first of all, they're the brightest monitors on the planet by far. They're 4x the brightness of a standard cell phone or tablet. They've got two models out. There's a 5.5 inch and there's a 7.85 inch. Both of those will run about 6 hours on an externally swappable battery. So you can pop in the battery, get about 6 hours of use out of it, take another fully charged battery and swap it out and go on for as long as you need to. Again, I mentioned the dual micro SD slots. I think that's a really cool feature because it not only allows you to record longer, HD content takes up a lot of space, but it allows you to have dual slots that you can use one card or two cards or both cards to record across them, which is nice. So the pricing they released, which was interesting, was the smaller one, which is the 5.5 inch, is 1,000 nit, and that's $469 suggested retail. Then there's two models of the 7.85 inch. The first one is the basic unit, which is 1,000 nit as well, and that's $699. And then the high-end product is the 7.85 inch, and it's 2,000 nit, so it's twice as bright, and that's $999. So it's not cheap. I mean, they're expensive, but they're high-quality monitors. So I think if you're into that, especially if you're using the Ronin, or if you're moving into an Inspire product, you might want to consider those monitors. I'm going to try and get my hands on them so I can do reviews of them and give you sort of a look at what they can do for you. So we'll see where that goes. All right, the next product they released, which again, I'm constantly marveling at their inventiveness and their creativeness, was a thing called a track Tena. Now, the premise behind this is it's a high gain antenna that sits on a tripod that has a 2-axis gimbal on it, and it knows where the drone is that you're flying, and it's going to constantly rotate to keep the drone in its sight. And that high gain antenna gives you a much more solid connection between the antenna itself and the drone. So it allows you to fly a lot further with confidence in a rock solid signal. So some of the specifications on that track Tena is it's a high gain directional antenna, obviously, but directional antennas always suffer from the fact that they may not be pointing at the drone if you're flying around. This one's smart enough to actually track the drone. It'll operate on dual bands, so it's a 2.4 gigahertz and a 5.8 gigahertz antenna. It includes, like I said, the 2-axis gimbal, and the tracking part of it is incredibly intelligent, so it's going to follow your drone around. It works with the new Sendence controller, and I'll talk about that in a second, and it boosts the signal to over 6.2 miles. Now, that is an incredibly long distance to be flying. So for me, again, I'm completely fine with a 3 or 4 mile distance because I don't fly out that far, but if you're doing large productions or you're doing aerial surveillance or you're spraying crops, those type of things, you're going to need that extra distance or at least the reliability to go that distance without worrying about losing a signal. Now, that one they didn't have pricing and availability yet, but that's to be announced very soon. So keep an eye on that, and I'll let you know if I hear anything more. Right, the next thing they talked about was the Sendence controller. Now, it's a brand new remote control. It's typically designed, or I should say primarily designed to handle the larger end drones. So I think the M200, the Inspire 2, I imagine you could use it with the smaller drones, so probably a Phantom series product and maybe even the Mavic. But what I liked about it so much was it again, I'm talking about future technology, it seemed to me that they built this with a lot of the features that you may see coming out for controllers for some of the prosumer drones. So there are interesting specifications, I'll talk about those in a second, but just at first glance, it's built to be incredibly flexible. So on the control panel, there's a number of customizable buttons because everybody likes to fly a little bit differently. I know with mine, you have a couple of customizable buttons today in the Phantom controller and the Mavic, but having more of those would be good to hit a button and have it do a certain thing, and you can program what those buttons control. So some of the specifications around this Sendence controller is today it works for the Inspire 2 and the M200, but again, they may expand that to be others. It's got a 4-hour operation, which is really nice, and it's got a removable battery. Now that's unique. The other controllers don't. They've got totally enclosed batteries, so you've got to charge it, use it, and then charge it again. It comes standard with HD video ports, which is something I've complained a little bit about on both the Phantom product and the Mavic. I mean, I like using FPV goggles and I like to record some of the video right off the controller. So the fact that those HD ports are built in is really nice. I mentioned the customizable buttons. I think that's an advantage because you want to try and make the controller your own. So if they're giving you the ability to customize it to a certain extent, I like that. And then pricing was announced at $999. That's their starting price. So I'm getting the impression from that brief conversation that there may be a couple of different models of this, but we'll have to wait and see how that happens. But they haven't talked about availability yet. So they said it's one of those things that's going to be released soon and it's coming up. Okay, the last thing they talked about, which I think is really something that's been needed for some time, is a thing called the DJI Circle. And what this is a very specialized service organization that's going to handle you with kid gloves. So it's not cheap, and it's really built for, I think, the commercial flyers that are out doing productions on high-end products and stuff. So if you're flying the Inspire 2 and you're doing large projects with a lot of outdoor cinematography, this is absolutely critical for you. But if you join this program, which at this point it's invite only, you get batteries shipped anywhere in the world or any one of the major cities in the world. So imagine if you're a cinematographer and you've got to fly somewhere and you know you're going to do like a 4-hour shoot or 6-hour shoot. You can't really carry all those batteries on the plane with you. So you have to either ship them in advance on your own, hope they get there, and when you get there, find them, or you've got to try and get them on an airplane and split them up between a bunch of different people. So the fact that they're going to ship those batteries to you is a wonderful thing. They also offer replacement products. So if you're on site and you have a problem with your particular quad, they'll send you a loaner quad while they're repairing your quad. So that makes sure that if you've got a tight production deadline to meet, you've got another product you can use while your product is being fixed. They also talked about a virtual concierge. So I think there's going to be a phone number you call at DJI, and they're going to pick up the phone and go, "Hello, Mr. Smith, what can I do for you?" So I think it's a really cool idea. It's on the pricier end of the scale, but as I mentioned at the top of the clip, I think they're testing this for their higher end customers, and it'll eventually make its way down the food chain to the prosumer space and eventually to the consumer space. So I could very well see a year out from now, they've got a light version of this that's way less expensive. So pricing is up there. It's $4,000, I think, for a year. And again, it's invite only. So I think they're testing the market. That is not a lot of money if you're running under a production schedule. I talked to a few guys in line that are high-end production people for Hollywood studios that are doing series for TV and things like that. They can't afford a day down. A day down costs them tens of thousands of dollars for all the talent that's on site, the hotel room, all the other production delays. So I think this is exactly right for those kind of people. So those are basically the 5 things that we covered today. Again, an incredibly cool event. I just can't tell you how excited I was to do it. I did get a chance to talk to a couple of the executives at DJI as well. I'm going to spend some time on the floor tomorrow, try to get them on camera and ask them some of the tough questions you guys have asked me. But overall, a very exciting event. I just had a tremendous time. Could not be more thankful that they invited me to this, and I'm hoping I get invited to the next one because they're running out of events where they don't have something flying. So anyway, that's all I had for tonight. There was one more thing I wanted to mention. They gave out a tchotchke at the event. It's a DJI string bag. They're a pretty nice little looking event, right? So that was nice they gave that out. I think what I'll do with this is I'll actually use this as a giveaway in one of our future vlogs because I know you guys like those DJI labeled products and the tchotchke. So count on me putting that in a vlog very soon and offering that up as a giveaway as one of our products because, again, I'm happy I'm here. Anything I can do to make you guys happy I'm here is a good thing. So thanks an awful lot for watching. I promise you there'll be a lot more coverage coming tomorrow from the floor. And between you and I still have my fingers crossed that we're going to see some kind of headset, some kind of goggles from them very, very soon. So I don't know. I'm going to sleep in a little bit. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and just hope that things are better in the morning and those goggles are available. And if they're on the showroom floor tomorrow or on the show floor, again, I'm going to be all over them. So thanks an awful lot for watching. Again, I hope you find these things helpful. I've really had a blast doing them. Happy flying.